Hello everyone. So I'm back at the Earth. I just talked about the pole flip. I didn't want to take credit for the pole flip because I wasn't expecting to figure anything out about the pole flip. Um, and I didn't discover alternating current. So let's just give that one up to Nikola Tesla so the scientists feel better. Um, what I'm going to talk about in this particular video can so the Earth was right here in the center of the spark gap. When the moon came in here to create all this, come back over here to our orbits, and if we steal the moon from another celestial object, take the moon, comes around here, Earth comes in around here, spark gap decreases very fast. Eventually, there will have to be a current flowing in this direction. Come over to our right-hand rule. See, there's going to be a perpendicular force of motion. So instead of going this way, it's going to want to go this way. Once the arc. But what we found out, if we steal the moon from a different celestial object than what Earth would be orbiting, then we have a unique scenario where there's a demand to balance charge between the two larger potentials. And Earth, that places us, if we collide in the middle where these two happen to meet, we're in the dead center of the spark gap between the two larger potentials. So that puts us right here. And what Nikola Tesla taught us about alternating current, for those who are paying attention, we technically have an explanation for our pole flip. I'm going to talk more about why all the different things that I think apply with that, but when I first kind of stumbled upon this, I was not expecting to figure anything like that out, so it kind of caught me off guard, but it was something worth pursuing because while I'm learning about this, trying to explain just these scars, that's all I wanted to know. But you go over to your right hand rule, and you notice the relationship between perpendiculars. Talk more about this later and why, which one, what is the orientation you use and why, but just familiarizing yourself with this concept because I was just learning about it. If you take, this finger, and remember, your middle finger would be the direction of the electric current. If that's the direction of the electric current, that's the direction of the force of motion, that's the direction of the magnetic field. Now, I'll have to talk more about why this finger will replace this finger in the end. There's this 90-degree relationship this has, but until that doesn't happen until the arc stops flowing and this gets outside of the influence of the arc. But right now, the perpendicular to pay attention to would be the flow of the current in relationship to the force of motion. Because when you look at the map, you see this perpendicular, there's like a lateral force going on here. As this is all taking place. So, I was going to talk about the seafloor In all their theories, this is coming up from the center of the Earth through convection to rise up in the center, which causes these to spread. But instead of doing that, like, there might have been a need to send an arc across the surface of the Earth. Just throwing that out there, because we've already did all the work to place us right here in the dead center of the spark gap. We need to explain the scars. There's this pole flip thingy in the Earth. The scientists have no idea what it is, even though Nikola Tesla discovered alternating current in 1893. And so as these are spreading, I'm going to come over here to this map. Put the crosshairs kind of like on the center of the Atlantic. So if you put your hand out, we said the index finger is the direction of the electric current. So you would have to put your middle finger up. Man, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, definitely not for kids, this one. Okay, middle finger up with your index pointing towards the screen, and your thumb would then point horizontally towards the screen. And that gives you a perpendicular arrangement, where if the current's going in this direction, the force of motion is going in this direction, is the point of it all. But if the current has to flip down to here in this direction, since it's what we like to call an alternating current, then your middle finger points down. Your thumb will point in the opposite direction. So just imagine your fingers going up and down and up and down. And as this one is going up and down, your thumbs are alternating this way and then this way. And this is the force of motion. It's a way to enhance the spread, I think. And when we're standing right here on a much smaller scale, when you're comparing this to the two larger potentials, you come over here, this is like, we have a lot in our equation now. Now when we come over, we talked about frequency, because I think that applies. With frequency, you have this, and this is kind of like where you could imagine your thumbs pointing in this direction, and then this direction, and this direction. And as this is happening, this will go up and down and up and down. And the relationship stays, but while this is happening, your one finger can stay pointed right in at this screen. You can point it right in at the screen, and it's the other two that are alternating from up here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then here. Which, like, that kind of gives you an idea where you get that figure 8 infinity symbol, for those unaware. But on top of that, right here in particular, this enhances the rate of spread, I think. Which, I don't know why nobody ever thought to apply that logical course of reasoning. I mean, so I'm going to be real. Like, when I first noticed this, I thought it was like a cruel practical joke the world was playing on me. Because when I see this, I come over here, and I'm like pointing this out to people, and everyone acts like they don't see what I'm seeing when I'm like, dude, that's a scar. And they're like, yeah, no, whatever. And then they go back and they're like, yeah, no, it was an asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. This is a giant impact crater or whatever. But they're completely ignoring the sprite to the... Alright. Deep breath. So seafloor is spreading, but instead of this coming from up from underneath, you can imagine this has to carry across the surface. Normally, I think this surface would be resistive. If we look over here, it looks like it's resisting the flow of current, and that's why you have this low pressure area here, and it kind of like this distinct band, and then higher pressure over here. But when we talk about the relationship this material has when the force is applied to the equation, like the crustal surface, its resistance is going to break down if you have this much, and that's where you get like the molten effect. But once these areas get past the influence of the arc, they can lock in their magnetic orientation from which direction the current was just flowing. Now, the only real problem I'm seeing is what else can do that, unless if they're saying this has to do with which way in. When you come over here, I gotta do a whole nother video about the sun and the alternating current that's being applied to the sun. I think some people have already, but see, it looks just like, I mean, this is just a current balancing, in my opinion. It's a frequency. And speaking of frequencies, I'm going to talk about how this applies to rivers, because that's why I had plasma tubes up. And if I shut it down now, I'm going to forget to talk about that later. But that kind of comes into what I'm saying with some of these rivers were like carved in. And man, so what I'm trying to say here is you don't need 200 million years for this to spread. If we come back in here, and instead of looking at this as like hundreds of millions of years, and you come over here and you look at like, okay, there was an arc that all this spread really quick. Maybe there was a pause and then another arc. Like small arc at first, pause, and then. Now, this could technically apply to the Thunderbolts project, but what I was going to say is you don't really see this on any other planet. So if you're going to say that, there's so much to talk about. I'm trying my best, alright? I'm going to make more, and this will get somewhere soon. I'm just going back and revisiting the steps I took to try and process this. I didn't mean to solve the pole flip mystery, everyone. I was not expecting that. I'm sorry. Alright, take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.